Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My singular pleasure and honor to be here. But I must confess, when I was invited to this program, I think a couple of months ago, I had no idea why a judge was being invited to a dance and music festival. I had absolutely no idea. It's no different today. I have no idea. In fact, as I was coming out from the hotel, my wife asked me, "What are you going to speak on dance and music?" I said, "The only experience is that I've danced to your tunes, so that possibly makes me a stalwart. 30 years we've been together. She's my classmate also." Before I go forward, I must thank you, PVR. I hope there is no lawsuit against you by the PVR. Thank you, PVR, and thank you, ma'am, for all the hyperbolic encomiums that you've given me. In Malayalam, enne petti paranja ella nonakalkkum nanni. That wraps up what I normally hear in a function of this nature. This is my first visit to Bahrain. I've never before come to this lovely archipelago. I've never been here. I'm stunned and I'm in love now. So I may come on the fourth visit without your calling, your fourth season. I'm soliciting it already, sir. Beautiful place and lovely to see all of you, though I have not been able to meet you in person, which I would like to do after this. So as I was saying, I was not sure why I was invited. I was trying to push it. Anida knows, she has been literally running behind me, my private secretary, my staff. And Anida, the only reason why I was not responding was because I had no idea why you were calling, which I said it continues even now. But I must tell you, this association has a great reputation and I have personally experienced it already. I have never before got so many recommendations from so many people to take part. So many. Wherever I went, somebody or the other would come and say, "You have been invited to the BKS festival, please go." It was actually R.K. Damodaran who started that trend. He said that, gave you so much of recommendation that it was very compelling. After that, Jaishankar called me one day, or he texted me saying that don't miss it. It's something that you should not miss. Went to Kottakkal a couple of weeks ago, or less than that, for their centenary celebrations, the Kottakkal Aryavada Shala. And Miss Sharad, who is also a dancer, or perhaps primary dancer and then a movie artist. She by far was the most strong in persuading me. She said, "I'd come here last week, and I think you should know what she told me." She said, "This is one of the most distinguished audience you could get, and I'm completely floored by you. This is really..." Of course, the compelling part of it was that L. Subramaniam was performing. I've grown up hearing him, and I told him that when I was with him for lunch today. It's a great honor to literally sit next to him and be photographed. It was my fanboy moment. And I wouldn't miss anything to hear him live like this. I've grown up hearing him on the music systems or the car systems and all that, as the case may be. So this is, I will not keep you holding, sir. I've already seen you stand. He's ready and waiting. He's possibly just waiting for me to finish. I was reading about Bahrain in the last couple of days, and I was thinking that this kingdom is actually a natural ally of the Indians, and in particular the Malayalis. And it's no surprising that 1/6 or so of us, of the population here, are perhaps Malayalis and not merely Indians alone. Out of 18 lakhs or 19 lakhs, PVR tells me that we are about 2.5 to 3 lakhs. And that really shows the magnanimity of the kingdom to you. In 2014, His Excellency the King of Bahrain came to India. And that started one of the biggest trade collaborations of any two countries of that size, really. $450 million worth of treaties were given. And in 2019, Prime Minister Modi came here for the first time. I believe any Prime Minister visiting, an Indian Prime Minister visiting the Kingdom of Bahrain in 2019, August if I'm not mistaken, wrote three of the most important treaties actually on space, culture, a very important culture, as also on the international solar participation or collaboration, and the RuPay card, RuPay, R-U-P-A-Y. Now, as I was sitting here, they were telling me that earlier the currency used to be rupee. This is why I said we were almost a natural ally, and Prime Minister Modi was given one of the highest civilian awards in 2019, the Medal of the Renaissance or something. I may be wrong, I may be. If you go back to history, you are all people here, I've met people here who have been here, you have been in Kingdom of Bahrain for 50, 60 years, perhaps more than I have lived on the face of this earth. And if you go back to the history, this is just a small information for you, because we have a knack of doing this research as part of our job. Would you believe that the first Indians came to the Kingdom of Bahrain, or whatever it was called at that point of time, 3000 BCE, before Christ, before Common Era, 3000 before. That was the time of the Dilmun civilization. And the Bahrain, this area, was a natural bridge between the Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley civilization. Just imagine, so we started coming here 300 years ago, 3000 years before BCE. It was in the 19th century, if you look at it, that large number of us started moving on to Bahrain as part of businesses and as part of our enterprises. And that has continued all the way. This is why I said Bahrain is perhaps our natural ally, and this is why we have so many expatriate Malayalis living here. Great feeling to meet all of you here. I was talking about culture. We have members of the Indian Embassy also here. As career diplomats, they'll possibly tell you that human relationships are forged by synergy of the cultures more than anything else. It is not military participation or even business collaborations that create and forge a relationship between two civilizations. It's cultures actually. There is nothing which is more than the bond and the cohesiveness of cultures. PVR was correct. He said this is, use the word, it is collective. What did you say? You were saying you used a particular word, and I was nodding, and I related to that. So the culture of any civilization, in fact, culture and civilization is now used synonymously. But for every civilization there is a culture, and we normally say this is his culture, it is hers culture to do this, or he is not cultured enough to do that. So that culture animi, which is the technical word for that, is what defines every human race from the other. India, you know, is one of those countries which is the maximum rich in culture, and when it comes to Kerala, it is even more. As we were discussing for the lunch today, we were saying our languages change every 5-10 kilometers in Kerala. Our rituals change every 5-10 kilometers in Kerala. Every part of Kerala looks similar, but then we are so very diverse. We are so dissimilar in various facts, but we are so unified. And that heritage of culture, to bring it into Bahrain in a forum of this nature, and then assimilate it with the culture of Bahrain as is also very rich. And I missed it. I should have been here, I think, for the last 3 or 4 days, because I saw that the classical performances in both the countries were now brought together. This is a great, great initiative, really. This is what that forges our relationship between the two countries in the years to come. We have had the best of performers, and what really makes me gratified is that what was presented before you is not a hodgepodge of what you see these days, but that classical element of the performances, which otherwise would be lost in the years to come. Somewhere along the line, we have lost that touch with that classical performance because we are now impatient. We want everything. It is a 2020 era. And I will not be surprised if cricket now comes down to 5-5 or 1-1 ball and all that. But that's the way we are getting impatient. But these are the finer things in life. What you saw in the last 8 days or 7 days here. These are the finest things of life. This is the sadhya that you get after every wedding. And this has been offered to you on a platter of the best of the performers. And I missed it, I have no doubt about it. But then I get to be part of the icing of the cake, Mr. L. Subramaniam. And as I told you, this is one reason why I am here today. I was completely floored by the fact that the 10th day was his, and therefore I wanted to be a part of it. And thank you for giving us this opportunity. I know that this is not the time for long speeches, though I was psyched by some of them saying that we have come to hear you speak. I really don't know what you meant by that today, really, because today is not not a season for words. It's a season for all these fantastic performances that preceded and the closure, which is perhaps the most befitting of all which you have possibly seen. I close by saying, I told Mr. Subramaniam, I started with this music when I was in the 10th standard, 13 or 14 years. I'm 56, so you can gather how many years we have grown. All the fusion, all the innovations that he's brought in. I forget the name of that Italian violinist. I'm sure you know because you've been called that. He's been called the Indian version of that great performer. I forgot his name. He's also called the god of the Indian Indian violin. And nothing can be more right than that. So ladies and gentlemen, I anxiously wait for him to start this performance, and I don't think we should be keeping him waiting at all. A great honor that you have bestowed upon me. And Sovina doesn't normally accompany me to many of my functions. She voluntarily did that because we are in the process of a longer travel. And we squeezed in one day for Bahrain for all the reasons that I've already said, particularly the performance today. It's a shame that I'm in this lovely country only for one day, but I definitely want to make it up by spending more time, either in the 4th session if you call me, if at all you want to, or another day. And I promise that I would savor the rich cultural tapestry of this nation, which we have now contributed to a large extent, and you have made them greatly proud. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and have a great evening.